Hello and welcome back to the Karma Stories podcast. I'm Rob, and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today, I have 7 short stories for you from the Tales from Tech Support subreddit. Make sure to follow us on your podcasting platform of choice, and if you're on YouTube, hit that like button down there, because it really helps us out. Alright, on to today's stories. Let's get our nerd on. This story comes to us from Choco Bomug. Someone forgot to tell the help desk kid that today was a half day. My dad and I were recently talking about the time I worked at the same company as him, and I reminded him about this story where I was left alone in a tech support closet because of an email error by his team. Many years ago, my very first job was at the help desk for a company of 400 plus employees. My office was literally a converted closet in the back corner of the building, and my entire purpose was to sit there and wait for someone in the building to call me so I could assist with a technical issue. When I first started, I was paranoid of doing anything wrong which could get me fired, so I didn't even use the computer to browse the internet. I just sat there each day staring at an analog phone, waiting for someone to call for technical help. Unbeknownst to me, the company occasionally had a surprise half day. On a random Friday, the CEO would email the company informing everyone they could leave at noon and start their weekend early. Unfortunately, since I was new and had not been added to the all mailing list, a task owned by my dad's team, and was not informed of this occasion, and no one thought to check on the help desk kid sitting in the back closet to make sure he knew to leave early. So my first surprise half day was spent sitting in a closet, alone, staring at a desk phone, diligently waiting for a call from someone, anyone, when the entire company had left 4 hours earlier. I only realized something was amiss when I walked to my car at the end of the day and the entire parking lot was empty. To add salt to my wounds, when I arrived home, my dad just asked, "What took you so long?" Thanks, Dad. Would have been nice if your team had added me to the email list. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, we have one from a user called Striker1. It says, "Please tell me you got paid for those hours." OP responded to this one and said, "I got paid. This happened in the before times when there were still companies who did nice things for their employees and didn't punish them for partaking in those nice things." I just realized OP added a comment down below as well that says, "In writing this, I realized I needed to add some additional qualifiers because of how much tech support has changed in 25 plus years. I originally used the phrase staring at the phone as I waited, which has a very different connotation in pre-2000 with analog phones versus 2025 with smartphones. And I need to clarify that I was only supporting people in the building. Today, if you called Tier 1 support, you would be lucky to talk to someone in the same state or country. It seems preposterous that the help desk would be in the same building as you." Another commenter down below called DJ Day Dallas 42 said, "More than one hapless employee has been left in a building after hours and discovered that the alarm system uses motion detectors." I'm actually really surprised that OP's dad didn't say anything to OP about the fact that everybody was leaving early. Like, you'd think that OP went back to their home where they lived with their dad, and their dad was like, "Oh, took you long enough." But dad didn't have the wherewithal to give OP a call, sometime in that past 4 hours and say, "Hey, where are you? What are you doing?" I don't get this one, but what do you guys think? Make sure you comment down below if you're on YouTube, and if you're on Spotify, you could leave a comment there as well. This story comes to us from Mikey DeFox. When marketing decided to touch the database. One of my previous roles was as a DBA for an e-commerce company. One day, I was plugging along turning coffee into code when all heck broke loose. Our marketing team decided to launch a personalized email campaign without consulting IT first, or even consulting anyone, really. Out of nowhere, suddenly our servers started screaming at a pitch I don't ever want to hear again in my life. CPU usage spiked to 100% and queries slowed down to 0. My first thought was that we were being hit by a DDoS attack. What I found was far more facepalm worthy. The marketing team had written a query to send personalized emails to our entire customer base, all almost 5 million of them. Their query pulled data from nearly every table in our database, joining them in the most inefficient way possible. The icing on the cake was that they had set it to run every 5 minutes. It was later described by my senior to the bosses as like watching someone try to empty the ocean with a teaspoon only to refill it with a fire hose every few seconds. The silver lining, management finally approved our long-standing and often denied request for a separate analytics database. Sometimes it takes a near catastrophe to get the resources you need. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, we have one from a user called StevenXSG. It says, please say marketing has no direct access to either and had to request a report to be created to get any information. OP responded to this one and said, well, they don't have access now. Another commenter down below called SnowboardG42 said, sometimes it always takes the sky to fall before the bean counters and top management approve spending money on something other than their bonuses. OP responded and said, if it works, they don't need us. What are they paying us for? If it's broken, clearly we're useless. What are they paying us for? Okay, so the one thing I'm wondering about on this one myself is why did they have to pull that every 5 minutes? They just wanted a list of email addresses of all the clients that they could send this marketing thing out to. So why pull it every 5 minutes? Unless that was a mistake of some sort, because it's not going to update that quickly. You're not going to get a whole lot more clients out of that list if you're pulling it every 5 minutes. Somebody screwed up. This story comes to us from aggravating.5217. We have a winner in the stupid stakes. Before I start, here's a bit of backstory. We have a semi-automated system that requires user input at different parts of the process. After each user input, the system checks that the input is within the required parameters. If a check fails, the system asks for the user to confirm the values are correct, and if they still aren't, the system will require various alternative inputs. 99.9% of the time, corrected inputs will solve the incorrect values, and the process can proceed. At all steps, data is written to the database. My job is to deal with the 0.1% who make errors. Now, on to our winner. There is a user, let's call him X. X makes an error with the required inputs and goes through the second phase of the process and is still unable to come up with the correct values for the system to carry on. X figures that the system is wrong and starts a new process with the same outcome. X completes the same process 9 more times. Only now does X contact support and say that he cannot complete the process. I am the lucky one to get the call and start troubleshooting the problem. I get to see all the attempts that X has made to generate his output. Each entry in the database has to be manually corrected and deleted depending on the error. I sent X an email to tell him not to do anything, as I will call him to see what the problem is and then solve it so that he can complete the process. In the meantime, X tries again. Just when I thought I had fixed everything, I spent another half hour solving try number 12. When I do get around to calling X, it turns out that he was putting the wrong values in the various fields. I spend some time teaching X what needs to be done, and he finally completes the process. It is a new day. X did it again. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, we have one from a user called Gemini27. It says, your job isn't to teach this guy, it's to pass the ticket onto their boss with all the details so that boss can teach his employees their actual job. Possibly for the 14th time this month, but that's not your problem. OP responded and said, sometimes spending a few minutes with a user makes more problems go away in the future. However, in this case, it was time seriously wasted. Now one of my team members is going to push it up the ladder. Not my problem today. Another commenter down below called Horizon X2 said, I heard someone once say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. X is clearly insane. You know, after 1,500 videos on YouTube, I kind of feel that way sometimes myself, like I'm just going, it's been a long ride. But you know what? We're changing things up now by going on camera to make it a little bit different for me and a little more exciting. And I'm enjoying what I'm doing again, which I wasn't previously. I don't know if you could tell or not, but here we are. Anyway, I love stories like this where the idiots just try to do things over and over and over again, expecting a different result, just like they said. Well, it's never going to work that way. You can't just brute force your way into something working the way you want it to. Take a little bit of instruction from those who are above you and know what they're doing, and maybe, just maybe, you'll figure it out. This story comes to us from Bram9927, Printer Discrimination. So this is a call I had recently that I wanted to share. Thank you for calling the IT help desk. This is OP. How may I assist you? Yeah, I have a ticket number, and I'm very disappointed in the lack of service. Let me pull up this ticket and see what's going on. I open the ticket and see that she is requesting ink for a printer that we don't support. My supervisor had already explained to her that we don't provide ink for this type of printer, but had directed her to proper channels to order it. Okay, ma'am, I see what's happening here. It looks like we don't have ink in store for this type of printer. If you could please contact your department budget team, they should be able to order you ink from a third party. This is BS. I've been working at this for 15 years, and you're telling me that you don't have ink? Ma'am, we have ink for Xerox printers and some HP printers. Ink cartridges are not compatible across systems. I can send this to the Xerox since they typically do deliveries for printer supplies, but they'll probably tell you the same thing. I want to speak to senior management. I can forward a message to my office manager to have them contact you. However, they are a bit busy right now. Would this number be the best method to contact you? Yeah, but I want to report this as harassment. You're telling me that just because I have a different type of printer, you're not going to support it. I'm leaving for a trip at 12, and I need this ink before then. I can't wait for Amazon to deliver it. You offer support, but you don't do support for all devices. That's discrimination. I'll report IT if I have to get you to release my ink. She then proceeds to go on a 5-minute long rant, after which the call fizzles out and she hangs up. I do let my office manager know about this ticket and he does call her. Later, I asked how it went. It's more or less the same kind of call. He directs her to the office of the Xerox team and they told her they don't have ink for this. She emailed us 3 more times before the end of the day. All the texts told her the same thing. The answer doesn't change because you yell louder. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, we have one from a user called Atomic Snarl. It says, yes, we discriminate between printers we support and printers we do not support. We do not support your printer. I don't know how or why you have a printer we don't support, but that's the way it is. May I recommend in the future you submit a request for a printer we do support, and then we'll be able to support you. Good day. Click. Another commenter down below called Striker1 said, so they're admitting to putting unsupported hardware on the company's network? Also, the answer doesn't change because you yell loud enough. If this was actually true everywhere, then Karens wouldn't exist. I spent so many years in call centers, and the amount of people that call in and think that the angrier they get, the louder they get, the more they yell at you, they're actually going to get what they want is really surprising. Like many Karens, and they all have the same goal in mind. Let's get you really pissed off on the phone because I feel like that's going to improve my chances of getting what I want done. You know what I do with those ones? I would kill them with kindness. You're going to berate me and I'm going to be sitting back going, oh, thank you very much for calling. How can I help you? Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. Let's see what we can do for you today. And then they would berate me some more and I'd be like, oh, that's nice. If you're done, maybe I could help you out a little bit now, okay? This story comes to us from The Young One. Tough love. I work in tech support for computerized key management drawers. You plug the keys into open slots inside the drawer, and then you go on the computer and log that specific key in the database. Many apartments, colleges, and car dealerships use this system. I got a call from a customer that said their drawer wasn't latching shut like it's supposed to. So I walked them through what is called a striker bracket adjustment to fix the latching issue. Had them reassemble the large metal drawer. After doing so, the drawer would latch shut again. However, there was one problem. The drawer wouldn't unlatch itself when the customer would try and check a key out of the system. It would click, but the drawer wouldn't budge. I recommended that the customer use their physical brass key that comes with every drawer to manually open it. There was another problem. The customer had lost the key. I suggested that the customer push the drawer inward while clicking the checkout button. This did not work. I then suggested pushing the drawer inward, but with a little more force. This is when the customer said that one of their mechanics is coming in to perform that action. Before I could say anything, what if I just kick it? The customer holding the phone clicked the checkout button and exclaimed joyfully that the drawer is functional again and she has access to her keys. We ended the call shortly thereafter. I thoroughly detailed in my ticket notes that I did not instruct the customer to kick the drawer. Laugh out loud. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Tiny Nice Wolf. It says, seems foolish to provide a brass key for emergencies when it's so easy to lose. Provide a kicking boot instead. It clearly works just as well. Opie responded and said, these drawers have sensitive electronics in them, which is why I'm not allowed to suggest use of extreme force. However, it is nice when the customer goes out of their way and solves the problem themselves. Isn't this like one of the top things in IT support? Percussive maintenance does fix a lot of issues. When my computer's buzzing over here, I just smack the crap out of the side of it, and all of a sudden, it doesn't buzz anymore. It does have a little smoke that comes out of the top though. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Let me know in the comments down below, okay? This story comes to us from Old Class 1259, The Salesman. The gentleman I shall refer to as the salesman could be an odd duck sometimes. He'd made requests for a number of things that were highly convoluted and unnecessary, and a much simpler solution was sometimes begrudgingly accepted, with a certain air of, well, that's not the way I would have done it, but I appreciate you have your limitations. Yeah, no. We can give you what you want, just not how you want it, because it has to be legal and secure and safe. And you are asking for physical and metaphorical trip hazards for all three. I can't even remember why I velcroed an iPad to the back of his wall display, but that was a compromise over something. He is the manager of a sales team, and he and I are very different people. I come to find he celebrates a sale by ringing one of those desk bells you find at hotel receptions and making his whole team clap. I once saw him curl his fist into a tight grip and talking to himself. God, I just love making sales. There's something a bit Steve Ballmer about him. So on to the story in the form of a ticket closure message. Hi, the salesman. In the last 6 months, you have raised 5 tickets, all requesting access for your team to use the gifts and sticker features in MS Teams. As has been explained to you on each occasion, this feature relies on external sources, which we do not control. You and your staff are subject to more restrictive policies due to taking payments and handling banking information. You gave the business justification to encourage your team in making sales and improve morale. This is not a technical problem, but a management issue. We will not be sacrificing security or legal compliance for this request, and suggest you find an alternative way to engage with your staff. Please do not raise this request again. Any further tickets will be closed without comments. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, we have one from a user called AnDanDan. It says, provide them with a pre-approved set of reaction images they can share into Teams like any other image. Simple as. Opie responded and said, can you imagine pre-approved reaction GIFs? We could add corporate branding and everything, you know, for encouragement and morale. I bet it would be even more effective than those repurposed memes and Reddit ads. Another commenter down below called No Confusion 4513 said, my mother used to work for a solicitor's firm that dealt with licensing for pubs, bars, and the like. One of the people above her used to ring a last call bell every time they got a new client. That guy sounds a lot like your salesman. Opie responded to this one and said, it makes my skin crawl. I was once asked if I'd be interested in joining their team. I said something about being more suited to support roles because I like to fix problems. Oh, well then, the problem is customer doesn't own our product, and you can fix it. I would rather bite the knuckles off my own fist, but thanks anyway. Hey OP, did you know if you want to get back at that sales manager, there's a device you can buy on Amazon that makes a cricket chirp sound at random intervals? It's this little itty bitty thing, and you can hide it in a ceiling tile or under a desk, or wherever you want really. It's very small and very hard to find. especially since it doesn't chirp in normal intervals, it goes randomly. So they'll never be able to find it. They can't go, okay, it's going to chirp again in 15 seconds. Let's get closer to it. Nope. It might be an hour and a half before it chirps again. Good luck finding that. This story comes to us from Petrosity, a tale of anger and immeasurable smugness. Back in the days when I worked senior support for a POS company of the floral variety, we would once in a while hop in the call queue to clear it out. Now, I got this piece of work. She started immediately demanding we replace her printer under her warranty. So, cue the usual routine. Sorry to hear that, you know the drill. Get to the status page and it's out of paper. It's saying it's out of paper and we're going to need to attempt a test page for the manufacturer. Can you please verify there is paper in the printer? Usual pushback, I double and triple down. She is at best a 3 of 10 on the butt hattery I deal with daily meter. She will not get what she wants and eventually relents. Get put on speaker, hear her walk over, printer open, walk back, hang up phone. Time to engage the smug drive. I call her back. We got disconnected. Before I could finish, I get the "it's working now" and hangs up. Sometimes you get the support wage slave, other times you get the person who could cripple a national chain on a whim. She got the latter. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, we have one from a user called Arc of Vengeance. It says, "Is it just me who reads POS company as piece of crap company?" It's actually interesting that OP says that because I struggle with that one when I'm reading through stories myself, because you see POS all the time in these stories. Usually in the Tales from Tech Support stories, it's point of sale. But if you see POS in any other story on Reddit that's not tech related, it is piece of crap. The other word, but I don't use it on this channel. You know what I mean. So every time I'm reading through one of these stories, I have to take a second and step back and remember what subreddit I'm in so that I can use the proper terminology for POS. Wonderful thing. A little bit of insight into how the workings go in the background at Karma Stories. If you enjoy daily Reddit stories, I encourage you to follow and add us to your favorites on whichever podcasting platform you enjoy the most. And if you're watching and listening on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. It really helps us out. I thank you for watching and listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.